Hello my friend, it's Pat Sloan here with my daily video. It's the Monday night version, the fireside chat. So today is our elephant stomping day. Yes! So how are your elephants coming along? You making some? Getting some progress going there? So this is the pattern from my friend Wendy Shepherd, and I made a decision. Yes! Always feels good when you finally decide. You know, I really love this layout so much, but I really want a quilt over my bed, which means it has to go horizontal because I don't have as much space due to coming above the headboard. So I knew that 3 rows, and measured it, 3 rows and adding 2 to each row would give me this nice long piece. So here we go. This is my test layout, and I'm pretty happy with that. You know, I might shift the colors around a little bit more. I made all the blocks to begin with, and I used one to do the pillow for the blue pillow, the blue elephant. And so I still have 2 left that I didn't get into the layout. I actually may have had 1 extra. I can't remember. But I don't know. I'm thinking, yes, I'm going to go with this. I might space them a little. I have to go measure again to see what my distance is from the curtain rod. I'm going to hang it on to the top of the headboard and see what the distance is I want between them and how much of a space do I want around the outside. But it feels good. It feels good to have a decision, although I keep going, oh, maybe I'll make another elephant quilt. And I could make one of these as a present sometime because they're just so darn cute. Who doesn't love an elephant? If you don't love elephants, oh, cute elephants. So here are 2 blocks. This week you need to be making blocks, and a lot of you have actually finished your quilts. They are amazing. They are so darn cute. You've done, oh, here, let me show you the block. Here's one of the red Ellies, and then its partner. When you do this and you cut from, you know, the fabric as Wendy has you doing it, then you get like a partner. They're like sisters. There's like sister elephants. So they're similar fabrics but different. Right? I don't have a sister, so that'd be like my brother. Me and my brother. There we go. Well, I think that they came out so cute. And I'm so get excited. I can't talk. So you need to make elephants. That is your assignment today. If you didn't work on them, to get them out. If you're just going to make one, because, you know, everybody can have 1 elephant pillow. They're just so cute that way. What I'm going to do is take probably this one and make a red elephant pillow so I can put it in my living room when I switch to red and white. And then I think I might take this one and put a border around it and then use it on the label. Either that or save it and make a pillow for a friend. So decisions. How do we use those? There's always something, right? So I have to show you a present that I got because it ties right in with the elephants. This came from Brenda, and it came in this really sweet box. I just love this box. Oh, like, you guys get me. You know I like containers, cute containers. Look at this. So I have to show you. I already opened it up, so I put it back in here to show you. So let's see. Here's a really sweet card she sent. Thank you, Brenda. And then she sent me this darling elephant. Look at him. Look how super cute he is with his great big ears. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. He's so darling. So I'm going to stick him over by my computer. I think it'll be my good luck for 2021. What do you think? 2021 is a good luck elephant. He's so cute. So cute. And then she sent me some vintage scissors. These are really neat. Look at that. I love old scissors. Look at those. And then these are by Weiss, and I've heard of that manufacturer. These vintage ones, I've heard of that manufacturer, so I went and looked it up, and they were started in 1848. The company Weiss that makes these, or Wiss. I keep wanting to put an E in there. It's W-I-S-S, Wiss, that makes these scissors. And these actually feel pretty good. They probably need maybe a little oil, a little love. So I haven't tried them yet. But I just think they're very cool. Thank you, Brenda. Oh, and down below, I linked to a PDF about, it's an older advertise, like from, looks like 1950s advertisement for the company, making these. So fun. It's so fun to read. They make all kinds of scissors. They still make scissors. So I'll link you to what you can buy now for their scissors. But I want to see how they cut. Cool. All right. Now over on my group, Quilt Along with Pat Sloan, there are tons of people doing the Home Is blocks, and your favorite shows have been so fun to read. Just so fun. I love those of you who wrote that the Mickey Mouse show was your favorite, and you go, and we're dating ourselves. And also the one that I had not thought about was Dark Shadows. I always thought that was immensely scary, but I had to watch it, and I only watched it a little bit because I lived in Europe and we didn't get that, so it was only like in the summer when I came home. We came to visit my grandparents back in the US that I would watch. That's when I watched that a little bit, not much because it scared me. It was a little scary. Dark Shadows. But you just go over there and take a look at all the great blocks. People are sharing all of theirs together, the 3 blocks together that we have so far for Home Is, so that's really cool to see. It's neat to see them as they're building out and how you're picking your colors. It's just fabulous. The community there is so awesome. If you have a question anytime, day or night, at my Facebook group, you Quilt Along with Pat Sloan, you can get an answer. There is always somebody awake. So you just ask a question and you get an answer. So this week, well, actually it was this past weekend, I did a few things to sort of move along my UFOs. I decided that would be a very good thing to be working on. So I took 2 of the quilts that just came back from the spa, which I'll be showing you this week. But not today. And I got those 2 with the bindings made, and the hanging sleeves made, and the labels ready, and they're all trimmed. And so here's a picture of this stack. Now, not all those need binding, just they're not all the 800 that you might need. Some of those are just finished ones that I need to take upstairs. So I just put them in. They're just stacked there on the chair at the moment. But the top 2 are the ones I'll show you this week. And I went ahead this weekend and basted my stay-at-home quilt from 2020, which was in March, which was the first month that the pandemic really broke out, and everybody understood that we have got a serious issue and we all need to buckle up and buckle down and get ready and do our part to keep everybody healthy. And so we had a sew along. That's when I started this daily video, and then I also did this stay-at-home sew along. So I got it basted and did a lot of the quilting on it. I'm doing the serpentine, the wave. So here it is. And I'll show you up close here so you can see the wave. And I'm doing the wave stitch. I'll put it down on the table here in a minute, but let me just move back so I can hold it up. Move the chair. I don't have a big space here. I'm tight in this space. So there is my stay at home, and I used my Bonnie Lane fabric for the back with the floral, and I'm probably going to do another Bonnie Lane, a light blue, I think, for the binding. I was going to do the umbrellas, but I used most of it. So for the borders, I just looked, and I actually do not have enough to do that. And this is ancient fabric. I'm going to look around and be sure I don't have another piece of it stuck somewhere else, because I didn't really have a lot of this, so I sort of squeezed the border out of it. So I'll just have to use a blue or a solid for binding. But I still have to do around the edge. So let me show you the plan of how I worked on this. I'll bring the camera down on top of it, because I'm doing the serpentine and I'm not doing it super tight. I'm doing this in the style that I've told you about before, where it's a little bit looser. So here we go. If I scroll in here a bit. So on the let me see, let me pull this so you get more of the blocks. Okay, so for the blocks, so this I did vertical, so starting at the top, which is up here. So I have I have a serpentine in this inner border here, and then I took the serpentine down the middle, but I also did a straight stitch on either side of all these blocks. I did them all on the vertical, not the horizontal, just the vertical. I did right next to the sashings. And then down the middle of the sashing, I did the serpentine, and then within each block, I did 3. One down the middle, and then split it in half, split it in half. Then what I did was come across here on the horizontal sashing to give it another serpentine. And that's about all I'm going to do in here. I'm just going to leave this in a very soft quilting, so that'll be very soft. One thing is, let me just come up here a second, is I had a question about how to go across the intersection when you're doing like a cross hatch or even like this. So what that point would be is here. Like when you're coming, let me scoot in a bit. So anytime that I have to cross over, and I believe you can see it here. So when I have all these verticals, but then I came across, and I'm going to hit an intersection here, an intersection here, an intersection here, an intersection there, an intersection there, you know, continuing. So sometimes when we get to these intersections, that's not flat, it's bothering me. Okay, so let's take a look at this intersection. So sometimes when you're coming along this intersection, if you have your walking foot on, you might actually, and particularly if you've like pin basted, this was spray basted, so it's a little firmer, it's a little like tighter because all the fabric should be sticking, theoretically, is sticking to the batting. But when you're coming to here, you might be pushing some fabric and get a pucker. Like, you know, like the walking foot is pushing, and the fabric gets a pucker. So how do you avoid that? I have a little inset video here to show you. The basics is to keep this super flat. So let's take a look at that video. So stitching across an intersection of thread that you've already done. So I've already quilted across here, I've already quilted across here, and sometimes when you are coming across that intersection, you might find that the fabric starts to bunch up, you know, as it hits that point. So this is what I do, is first of all, I will have spray basted this, so that will mean it's a little bit flatter than if I pin basted, because it's adhering flat to the batting everywhere. But then what I do is when I'm getting to that area where it's going to intersect, I be sure that I hold the fabric flat, that I'm actually pressing and pulling it kind of totally firm, so that when it's getting there, and I'm doing this with the wave stitch here, the serpentine, so that when it hits that intersection, it is flat, and I'm not just letting it poof up like this, so that it could come and create that fold. Can you see just there? So instead, I'm going to have it totally firm, totally flat. So as I go across it, there isn't any poofing up. Same here, as I've got this intersection coming up here. Once again, I'm holding it totally flat, so that when it gets there, it just goes right across. And I'm not letting the fabric bunch up. Okay, so there you are. That is my approach to doing the inset. You know, that I will hold that fabric as I get to that intersection, and then that way I can smoothly go across the intersection, and the walking foot has not shoved any of the fabric ahead of me before I get there. So I want to have it smooth, and I'm holding it really tight so that it will be smooth on the top. So this quilt is practically done. I will just do the borders and then I can have it finished. So it did not take long. I'm not doing a lot of heavy quilting on it, so that makes a huge difference in the amount of time you spend. So if you lighten up the amount of quilting you have, you will get your quilts done faster. So it depends on what your goals are. Let me get that over there. So whether you're trying to do, you know, get a whole lot of quilts done so that you can do this sort of loose quilting in it, or, you know, the sections are you know, the block is like 6 inch, so there's like a 6 inch by 1.5 or maybe 2 at the most, 1 3/4 strips that have no quilting in them, you know, as you go along. And that's perfectly within what this batting's requirements are. So, you know, I'm not worried about that. If you were, you could do horizontal through the middle of the blocks. So that would give you shorten those chunks down, you know, to like 3-inch lengths if you went through the middle of the block, right? So you're looking here at a block, and you can see I don't have anything across the middle. But if you wanted to, you know, secure it more, you could do horizontal across the middle of each of these blocks, and that would give you another grid across the quilt. I do have my binding on the Out West. I did hold this up the other day, but I'll hold it up again. I put the binding as the same as the border. So there we go. So I put the same binding on as the border, which is not my norm, but I like it for this because I really love this border fabric. Okay, there we go. I can't get the whole thing in the picture. I'll hold it up. There we go. Finished. And I put the label on, and I hand stitched the sleeve down. So this is ready, and I can hang it up and enjoy it, or probably ultimately I will give it away one day. So it'll be in that stack that one day will be a present for somebody. You keep those stacks, you have those quilts that you're like, okay, you enjoy them for a while, and then you're like, okay, now I'm gonna pass them along. That's how I work with mine. All right, so what else did I have? Oh, over here. I've got, you know, when I'm gonna go back to this guy here again. When we did this sew along together, because that was last March, and to what should I say? Commemorate, maybe? Is that the right word? I certainly don't want to say celebrate. It's not a celebration to hit March and still be in a pandemic, but we are, and it's going to get better. But I think to commemorate or to be inspired that that March of this year, we are moving forward finally, coming out the other side eventually, that we'll do another block a day. You know, that's so fun, and we haven't done one for a little bit here, like a true block a day. So when we were doing these guys, you know, this block is very simple, and so you would do one of these every day, and I did one every day, and I showed them here on the video, and that's what we'll do again in March. So I have an idea for a very simple block. I have 2 thoughts, but I think I'll do one, and then maybe in another month we'll do another one, like maybe every, you know, there'll be scrap busters, so you maybe like 4 times a year we'll do that, where you do a scrap buster and you make a block a month, and then maybe the second month you quilt it. I'm also thinking the second half of February should be a super big push, like from Valentine's Day on, after Valentine's Day, February 15th on, should be a super big push to get some UFOs done. And I know there are a rare few of you quilters who don't have a UFO, so you can start something else that you've always wanted to make. But we're going to focus on the UFOs, unfinished objects, unfinished projects, things that you need to want to finish. So the second half of February will be that big push to get things done, and then we can do a fun daily block in March. See, gotta keep our minds engaged or something, whatever the word is. Gotta keep doing this stuff, folks. Gotta keep going. Now, I had a few fun things on the internet that I saw that are coming up. One is from the Road to California, and they are doing a free portion of their online show, because they're not doing an in-person show this year, but you could have signed up for classes, virtual classes, but they have a free, you register, you know, with your email, but you can go to the free part. And so there's a link down below, and here's a screenshot of, you go in and there's all these different, there's probably 10, 12 different categories of things. One of them is from my book publisher, Martingale. There's a really cool, they take you through all the different books and show you the quilts in the books with close-ups of them. And then there's also a really fun gallery of past winners of the shows. I mean, these are the over-the-top extraordinary quilts, and so it's really worth taking a look at my friends from Road to California. Matt is the owner, and one of my friends works on the staff, and so she's the one who sent me the link. Thank you, Stevie. So I hope you enjoyed that. Going to put another link below down here to an Aurifil article. Karen of Redbird quilted the Aurifil 2019 Designer of the Month quilt, and then she did an entire article. It's called Thread Matters. Aurifil does these articles called Thread Matters, which are a whole thread education article. And on this one, she took each of the blocks and she shows you how the block looked before it was quilted and then after the quilting she put on it. And so here are some pictures to show you one before and one after. And so you can go down below, you can get a link and go over and read that article that Karen did. And she was one of the designers in 2019. So it was really fun that she could quilt the quilt that she was part of. And for those of you waiting for the 2020 layout that I showed you when I was doing it on the wall here with the gray blocks and the Aurifil blocks from the designers, I will be doing that layout later this month. Later, it's almost the end of the month, isn't it? Yeah, it'll be this month. I'm waiting for the day, an open day on the Aurifil website. You know, they have their schedule, and we got a little discombobulated, so I had to get a new day to put it up because some things came in they needed to share. So all the mechanics of what goes on behind the scenes, but it will be up. The quilt itself, quilted, we will do another article when that's finished, and that'll probably be sometime in late February, maybe early March, depending on the schedule of everybody. The schedules, it always comes down to the schedules, doesn't it? Let's see, I had, okay, what do I else I have? Oh, okay. I was out looking for something. I was doing research. This is what we call research. My designer friends and I call it research. You go ahead and call it research too. It's when you go searching around for something, quilting, anything, you're doing research. So I was doing research and I came upon this pattern. Don't even know how I did that, but I had to get it. It is so cute. Look at these little sheep. This is from my friend Stacy Isu, and she designs fabric, and this is to go with one of her fabric lines, and I'll link you all below. But the sheep are so darn cute. Now I could see another one block. You could just do a pillow, you could do some sort of a sampler you might be doing, and the theme of this might go in, you could use it as a block within a sampler. It is so darling. It's pieced, so it's a pieced sheep baba, the baba baby sheep. So cute, so cute, so cute. We all need cute stuff. Got to have cute stuff. We got cute elephants. You could have cute sheep. There's lots of animals out there. Lots of animals. Okay, the other thing that I've been working on that I haven't done anything much with it, but I'll show you what I got. This is the block, the warm spot block from the Home Is. And remember I said I wanted to just have a start and stop for when I'm doing patchwork of building another block from my scraps. So I have 4 of them. So that's one. This is the first one I did with my Morrison Park fabric. So I've got that. Then then we've got a third one. Ta-da! And then a 4th one that I've done. And so what I'm doing is going through my blue fabrics, and I'm looking for, I want to keep all of them in this sort of format where this dark chain, that's the darkest blue. And I'm trying as best I can to find a stripe for all of this section, as many different stripes as I can, keeping it predominantly blue. So here are some other fabrics that I just found. I went digging around because I thought I've got to get them cut. It works best if I cut them and then put them in the top of my rolling assistant here. So like there's the pattern. Because once they're cut and in there, then I can just pick them up and do them. And I'm I'm at the point where I don't have any right now. I have to get some more cut. So here's a few. I think this is Tula Pink fabric with, there you can see like it's got the hands and the sewing things. This was one of Amy Sinibaldi's fabrics. I think her line was called Symphony with all the instruments, so I thought that was really pretty. Then my Out West backing. This is the backing of the Out West quilt. These are the belt buckles that I've had for a zillion years. Turns out I've used all this up pretty much for the Out West quilt, and I have a different belt buckle that I'm going to put on the back of my uncle's quilt. So that will go in the center. And this was a gift, fabric, and I think it's so cute. So there's all kinds of little campers, and it's got sort of a feel. I'll fussy cut around. I'll look around and try to get the center image where it feels more blue, so that I, kind of position where that is. And then look at the paper dolls. Look at them. They're so sweet. So that'll be the center. And then here's just another one with some images, like some sort of star images. So that may or may not be a center. I'm trying to find the centers as being ones that have a little bit more interest, and so this one might not have enough. We will see. All right, so I had one question I'm going to wrap up with today, which I think was a very interesting question, and one that that I think some of you might have thought of too. Anyways, so this was from Julie. So when I was talking, I've mentioned several times, do a sample block. If you're not sure about this, try a sample block. If you're not sure about that, do a sample. So that you can do a test. If you're a knitter or a crocheter, you do gauges to test your tension and the yarn and the hook that you're using to get so that your project comes out the right size. Doing a sample block or a test block is similar, so that you can try out things. Well, the question she had was, do you do this all the time? When do you do it? What kind of fabric do you use for it, etc., etc. So here is the basics of how I look at doing a sample block. Is one, I would never do it for every single thing. There has to be a reason I want to do a sample block, a reason I feel the need to do a sample block, such as this one. I would never feel the need to do a sample block here, unless, the big unless there was something about the color placement that I was very unsure about. And I wanted to be sure the color placement was what I was expecting it to feel like. Then I might do a sample to test that out. Now, if you have enough fabric, make your test block in the fabric you're going to use, because if your test block comes out perfect, then your block is done. But if it doesn't come out perfect, then you'll remake it. But if you have enough fabric to play around with, make the sample with your known fabric. The one big reason I would make a sample is if I don't have a lot of fabric and the block looks like I need to understand its construction. Maybe it's somebody else's pattern, such as the elephant. I did not write the elephant pattern, so that means I have to read Wendy's directions just like you are. And if I felt like this was something I wanted to make a test of first, but I didn't have very much of a specific fabric, then I would, because I didn't want to cut it wrong. Let's say it was a directional fabric and I didn't have much. I was going to just squeeze it out. Well, I might make a test so that I can be sure I understood the construction, and then go to my special fabric that I don't have much of. So that means I don't do test blocks all the time. I do them occasionally. Like when where's Norm? Norm's back there. The gnome way back there on the wall, Norm. He was one that I did that. He's a test block, but he's in the fabric and he will go in the quilt because he's in the right fabric. But because those directions are not how I normally work. Elizabeth Hartman's writes directions in a much different format than I do. So That was one where I wanted to walk through and try out her directions so that I could understand the method of them and the flow of them. And then I'm like, okay, great, now I got it. Now I got how she's, you know, how her pace is, what her rhythm is on her pattern. So that was worth doing. So those are times, and that's how I look at test blocks. Now, I ended up with a lot of different blocks because sometimes those were done for sew along, and I didn't put the quilt together, or they were like sew and flip half square triangles, or little things that I just made up as I went along, or they were test blocks, but they were actually accumulated over a fairly long period of time. And now I have that basket here of all of those to use up. All right, thank you for that question, Julie. That was really awesome. If those of you have other questions, you know, they might show up on here. Sometimes I also answer Julie in her email. So keep them coming. I like to answer the questions. So my new friend and I say goodbye for the night. Say goodnight, and I will see you. The links are all below. And thank you everybody for using them. So I love you. Mwah. See you online.